party, right?
Okay, no more chit chat, this is serious stuff up in town. Yeah. Get my serious glasses on. Oh, thank you. Pre-sales at our, yeah, it's really cool. It's cool. All this stuff. That's good. Pretty cool. What are people who want to okay, when I put on these guys
For a pool.
they say left and right. In case.
Back and front.
Put them on like this, perhaps, right? How does this look? It's a look.
It's a look.
I know.
I,
You break it, you guys.
oh, Linda's in rare form today.
Well,
Uh-oh, it's
¿dónde están los personas? No es posible con no personas.
I guess that means we don't have to, we can just run right through everything, right?
Okay, do we know that Ms. Truxell is not attending? Oh, that's right, Ms. Hallmark. Well, good morning. I don't know. Is Melanie going to be here? Is Melanie going to be here? No. There's some people who need to talk to us. Why are they not here? Donna, do you want to begin? Do you want to begin? I mean, I'm comfortable waiting a while because clearly there's some people who might want to come, right? How do y'all feel? You want to wait a little bit?
Let's begin.
Begin.
Let's
go.
begin.
Let's go.
All right, let's
Start
book
the
it.
clock.
Snooze, you lose.
Quorum being present, the October 18 member meeting of the Historic Preservation Board is called to order. Are there public comments registered? No, no public comments. Items for individual consideration. The first one, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on replacing windows, replacing canopy, add a new front door, add a porch and a fire escape to the alley, fencing and awning to the alley at 207 West Main. Good morning, Ms. Dow.
Good morning. So as you probably have noticed, we have a consultant that we've been able to hire, and one that I feel their expertise is greatly needed at this point. And so this was the first time that we used them, and the responses were hurried. I don't feel like it would have been nice to give them more time to look at it and then have time to go back to the applicant and work these things out before it came to you. But we didn't have that this time, and so in the future we'll try to do as much of that as possible. But anyway, the case is for 207 West Main, and they've got front facade and rear facade changes. This is a case that many of you were not here during that time, but it is a minimum property standards and also a demolition by neglect case. And so we're quite anxious to see that resolved. So you can see that they've got a new storefront, lower facade proposed, and there are some comments on that. The rosin preservation consultant said aluminum storefronts are a good replacement material. It feels like the finish is important, and also that maybe they should have, like the glass shouldn't go all the way down, that they should have a bulkhead there.
Donna,
So-
let me ask a question while we're here. I'm assuming that this is just one of those computer-generated,
That,
so this is in fact going to be replicated and not
yes,
replaced?
yes.
I mean,
That-
stay in place and not replaced?
Right,
Okay,
that
good,
is
thank
from
you.
David Baca's office, and they mentioned in their letter of intent that they would maintain that and repaint it, I think, the trim features.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
So we'll go on and then come back to that. The rear facade, they've got the 2 windows and a door on the top, and then they're going to build a landing and then bring it down and have another courtyard there. The consultant said it's tough to tell if the brick's been painted. I think that it has. And then the stair balcony addition looks good. So they felt like the proper treatment was on that back. That's just another view of it where you can see down into the courtyard part. And then the windows. Let's see where they said the windows. Aluminum clad is a good replacement. The configuration, we need to confirm some things with them as far as the configuration of the windows, and that they should have a baked Kynar finish instead of anodized. So,
Donna, what is proposed as a second exit on the upstairs loft part? I mean, if I didn't see it in the drawings, I mean, I realize we're only talking perhaps about the back, but.
on the front,
Yeah, I mean, there's only one exit for that loft, correct?
good point.
You have to have 2.
Yeah,
One for each,
So that would be the second one?
the front door.
If it
That's-
can be accessed?
yeah, but that's not okay in this.
'Cause it's
I think
two-
building requires them to have an exterior.
Well, I mean, that's not a question for AP, that's a question for the building department, Betty.
Right.
Access by line.
Right, but it's gonna be a point. We could approve it, but then they would have to come back to us because it's not, if they're gonna have a loft upstairs.
It would be pretty much the same thing that happened, remember when, trying to think of the address, but it's the martial arts place. They had
Right,
done the
grip
whole
game
facade,
jujitsu.
And then they came back and cut one of the windows out to make the door to do the access
Right.
to the upstairs.
Right,
But once again,
Oh, there isn't.
as Mr. Kai points out, our purpose here is the integrity of the
Right.
district, and that whether or not the second exit is there is not, doesn't fall under our bailiwick, but it would require that the front facade
Right.
be redesigned.
and I need to ask them that question.
What is the other access? Because it's all internal right now,
Correct.
inside that building. It doesn't have a separate.
So perhaps then, well, as I say, that's not an aesthetic judgment.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt you again.
So, I mean, I think we could go through your preferences if you like. Do you have any questions on the rear facade? I think
Not
we
on the
could,
rear, I do on the front. Who did you say did not really recommend doing glass all the way to the bottom? Was that-
the rosin preservation
okay.
consultant, they felt like we should have some at the,
But there have been some approved with glass all the way to the bottom.
not necessarily.
No?
So, that was,
Some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
clarify.
That was before my time.
yeah. So, yeah, there have been
There's
some
been some
done,
done, but not approved.
but not approved.
Okay. So did he have a second choice on what might go down there? Like, would it be brick to match the top, or wood?
I
or-
didn't,
Okay, so there's nothing, okay.
no. Again, that's a good question, but I didn't have time to go through that.
I certainly welcome the contributions from the Rosin consultants. I think those are very important to our deliberations and to your work. So thank you for bringing them in, Donna.
Any more questions or your wishes?
Well, there's obviously a number of things to take in. On the windows, are they, and I should have this reference, I probably don't in my mind, do they meet the historic requirement? Do these windows meet that standard or not?
I
'Cause
think
if
they
we're
had-
requiring it in other buildings, we need to make sure it's consistent.
Right. They had aluminum clad window replacements, which is acceptable. They had some, how many panes they had and things like that. They had some questions on that. And I put that on your, at your station
I saw
there.
that, but does that meet the historic standards, or do you know? Aluminum clad.
Yes,
They said that it's acceptable.
it's right here. The consultants.
Oh,
Right.
this was that attachment. I'm sorry, Donna, this was the one you sent.
But they're making sure that the layout of the windows, the design of the windows is according to historic photographs, and so there was some questions they had.
Yeah, my point is, I think I made it already, but if we're gonna require a certain standard of window in the depot or whatever, obviously needs to be consistent with it. Okay.
I applaud the fact that this building is being rescued.
Yes.
Everyone does.
Right.
I mean, everyone does.
Right.
And there's a way for all of us to get to a common yes on this, whatever it is. But
Right.
I'm so grateful that that building has been taken on by anyone. So that part's good. To my mind, it's a question of whether we're ready to proceed. And it seems to me that we might be ready to proceed if you and the consultants agree that the rear facade is acceptable.
Right.
I mean, I think it's quite attractive. And what about the colors? Do you think that's too dark? Are we good with that?
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, we trust our consultants, yes?
Well, the consultant didn't say anything about
Didn't
the-
address the back windows, right?
No, they addressed the fact that on the front, they wanted to take the paint off and the technique to do that.
Correct. Questions, concerns? What do you want to do?
I make a motion that we approve the renovation 207 West Main
Do we make it with
The rear,
recommendations? Or
with the recommendations. Good point.
well, Donna, are you just asking us to approve the rear facade at this time?
Well,
Or
that's
is
what
it-
I put in
That's what I
the
meant.
packet, and I apologize for that, but I didn't have this information at the point that we had to publish the
Correct.
agenda. And so I'm comfortable with that motion, definitely, even though I didn't put it in my staff report.
With a motion that reflects both the front
Right.
and the rear facade.
Right.
Rather than just approving the rear facade.
Right.
And then we're going to be comfortable with all that glass on the front, or, because in fact, that's what we would be approving
That's-
conceptually.
That's a decision that you all will have to make. It's not my preference, but the consultant seemed to accept it with some minor modifications.
Well, and it seems like now that whole area is unbricked. I mean, it's, right, it's not like they're taking out the building, taking the building apart. Well, that would have to be replaced with something anyway.
And anything is better than when you walk by, bricks fall on your head. I'm just saying. Mr. Alexander's motion, have a second?
Second with the recommendations.
Second, assuming that the recommendations of our consultants are followed, and we recognize the staff's responsibility in reconciling that. And I'm assuming if there are issues that remain, then it will come back to us. Okay, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Second item, receive report, hold a discussion, and take action on the request to repaint the awning, paint the gutters, paint the side and overhead door, the sign posts, trim painted, brick painted on the west side and alley, signage on awning, signage on the east and west side of the building at 327 West Main. Crawford, excuse me. Don't approve anything on Main yet, okay? Very contentious on Main. Crawford, not so much.
I did
Don't
that.
get Crawford. I'm sorry, I meant to say Crawford.
This is another of Mr. Lay's cases, so I'm sure that we're grateful to him, first of all, for bringing these up to standards, but the building has peeling paint and it will be removed. They would like to repaint the awning, trim and accent features. It's my understanding that they don't plan to paint the base of the building, but they would also like to add signage. And so the top part of the awning would be painted a darker brown, and then the trim, the downspouts and everything, and then the back. And then there's the signage that they would put, showing the darker brown there. And that's the other side, showing the garage doors. Again, there's signage, just spelling out the business name. It's got two exposed sides. It's got all sides are exposed.
I was astonished by how big that building is,
I
actually.
know.
I never looked around. I
Yeah.
can't believe it's that big. There are a lot of barbecue pits in there.
There are.
That's all in that case.
Any discussion? Concerns? Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the repainting and signage for 227 West Crawford.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Third item. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request to repair the roof, replace the windows, repaint, and add a new awning at 325 West Main.
Okay. So for many years, those windows in the upper facade have been a problem, and the previous owner had contacted us about doing something to them. Anyway, it's going to be good to get those fixed. So they're requesting a permission to do that. They'd like to repaint and add a new awning, and then the roof work. So the repainting, we need to clarify that, but the applicant is here, and so we can ask her. The awning that they have proposed is the same as on 327 next door. There you go, thank you. And that's the awning that was put in there. And then, it shows the shape and size of the windows. And like I said, the applicant is here. And so we can get more information from her. You can come on up here and state your name and address, I think. And do you plan to repaint it, because you recently repainted it, is my question.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello to everybody. I'm Patty Graham,
Hi, Patty.
and my husband and I own this building, so nice to meet you all. So
It's
nice
great to meet you.
all.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, if you do not approve of the colors, we try to do the colors that were recommended. If you don't approve of the colors, we can repaint, so.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
it's not, you want to repaint for sure, but you want to repaint if
Yes. The colors that we are suggesting are in here. The brick, I guess you have a copy of this? Okay. The brick would be crushed ice, the masonry magnet gray, and the wood urban bronze. So that's what we're wanting to do, if that meets your approval, so. And then the windows, I know she was talking about the windows, and
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah,
I was,
thought I
yeah,
saw
that's,
those colors,
I was
but
flipping back.
it was, sorry for the scatterbrain.
well, I'm sorry I was late. I went upstairs and Patrick says, no, you need to go over to Katy Depot.
You
So
know
I'm
what?
just making a tour of the whole
You
place.
had your.
Whenever you get here is just the right time.
That's right.
So when we were
Okay.
making copies, it was quite an ordeal, and the copies the paint colors got in with another.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I'm confused on the windows. Are you suggesting that you're gonna replace them? Are you gonna try to repair them? And if you can't repair them, you're gonna replace them?
We need to replace them. Let me start there.
Okay.
The thing is that we would like to keep it in its history. So, I mean, we love the windows, but obviously they're not working. So, we want to keep it in the history of the era that it's in. So yes, we do want to replace the windows because they're not working. So the recommendation from you all, what type of windows can we replace there?
First of all, I'd like to address the paint colors. And
Okay.
that is that the opinion of this group is that it's the responsibility of staff to verify that those colors are appropriate.
Okay.
And so if you'll continue to work with the Main Street staff on that, and the only reason it wouldn't need to come to us is if there was some failure to agree there. And
Okay.
as long as the staff agrees that the colors are appropriate for the district, then we accept the staff recommendation.
And-
So,
Okay.
so the colors aren't an issue.
Okay.
And I'm confused also, this is popped around the corner, right?
Yes, that is our retail space that's down below.
So it was just painted about 3 months ago, and we're wanting to repaint it a different color than what it is now?
No, those are the colors that are there.
You're not gonna repaint?
Well, hold on. I may be confused. I probably need to, hold on. Let me call my husband, just real quick. Yeah.
Of course.
My daughter was supposed to be here, so I'm a stand-in. Her son has 102 fever, so they called me and said, you're going to have to go to the meeting.
Do you know what? We welcome you.
Thank you. So let me call him and. Hi, okay. So I'm up here at the stand and I'm in front of a lot of people here. So my question for you, the brick, the masonry, and the wood, is this what we want to paint it? Because we did paint it a while back. I know we did. Okay, that's all I needed to ask. And the windows we want to replace, what windows do you want to replace them with? 'Cause okay, I'll look for it. Okay, I'll look for it. All right, thank you. Bye. Yes, we did paint it. I remember when we painted it, but we want to repaint it again with these colors. So, and the windows are in the packet here. Let's see here. The windows that need to be replaced are supposed to be in this packet. Let's see. Oh, here it is. It just says replacing. And we're at, obviously, y'all were talking about the awning. So,
On the windows, let me, because I realize that you're kind of put on the spot.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about your.
I'm a nurse. I can fling it.
That's what grandmothers are for, right?
That's right.
And at the risk, I sound like a broken record, but I see a lot of other investors, builders that own these buildings that spend a lot of money to conform to the Historic Society window standards. And they have to custom build these windows and things such as that. So I looked at the notes here, and it has suggest a vinyl window replacement, which is not acceptable. So the point I'm trying to make is, I don't know how you want to do this, Donna. I don't want to hold you up with your, but we need to ensure that we meet those standards is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
So that we're universal with everyone that's having to do this.
Well, I remember, I guess 6 months ago, we had a conversation with another owner of a place, and they actually sent the windows off and they rebuilt them. This is what you're talking about, correct? Okay.
And I just see in the notes here
Yeah, it just says
the
replace.
potential to replace them with vinyl windows. So I don't know how you want to proceed, if Donna can approve that, once you.
So if I might explain a little bit, there were quotes that I took the description of the windows in the staff report.
Okay.
And so there weren't pictures because he said that they couldn't get a picture of it because it's not something you just order off the internet. They're custom
Correct.
windows.
Yeah.
And so I took this off a quote, but I didn't feel it appropriate to put it in your packet because it was a quote for Tony's to pay their facade grant. And so that's why that description is there. I took it right off the quote. But we have a consultant that looked over it, and she asked some questions and then gave specifics, like the 4x4,
Right.
And so
Let me,
the consultant has made a recommendation that you not
Okay.
do vinyl windows, that you do another type, and that's where we're going with it.
okay,
So that's the window part.
okay.
And
That's
that's
fine.
acceptable.
Yeah, that's fine. Because that's why we built this, that's why we bought this building. We want to revitalize Denison, and we need
Thank
to keep the history.
Thank
I
you.
grew up here when I was a kid. I mean, we had a lake house, and we'd come down I actually went to Denison Hotel and ate breakfast there, and I remember that as a kid, and so.
I hope you'll be able to take your grandson to eat
Oh, well,
breakfast there one day.
I agree. So yes, so
Okay.
is there any way we can get
Yeah,
a?
I've got,
Okay,
I think it's in this right there.
oh, I see it.
So it
Okay.
tells you what
Sure,
what
okay,
specifics.
okay,
And if you read through there and something is difficult to obtain or whatever, then you can always come back to me and we can present it to them again. But
Okay.
as long as you're okay with this, then
okay, yeah, yeah, we are.
I'm
Okay.
speaking what I think I heard y'all say.
So then, once again, we respect your willingness to work with the staff to come to a resolution that meets Mr. Alexander's concern, that meets all of our concerns about the integrity of the district. And if the staff feels comfortable, and if you feel comfortable with resolving that, and it's a resolution that meets our consultant's recommendations and the staff, look at his face.
No,
That's
no,
okay.
yes, you did, no.
Do you agree?
Mhm.
And so then, Ms. Dow, do you want a motion that reflects that, or is it sort of inherent in what we're talking
No.
about?
I think we need to reflect that, and we still need to discuss the awning,
awning.
if y'all are comfortable with the awning.
I don't know how we can approve windows, though, until we know if they're gonna be
What we're-
replaced or repaired.
And given that, then it would be your suggestion that just the windows be tabled or the entire project?
Okay.
Which would you prefer?
The windows, because if they can't be repaired, then I guess she'd have to come back to show us what kind of windows they would be replaced with.
I think she's saying that they can't be repaired.
They can't be repaired? Okay, I misunderstood, I'm sorry.
And then we would propose that they meet the consultant's recommendation,
Okay,
and if they don't, they could come back.
Come
But
back.
that's only if you're comfortable with it.
And the historic standards.
Yes,
as well.
and they will,
Right.
Not just the consultant.
they will have to show that to me before they order them, because we don't want them
Correct.
spending a
Yeah.
bunch of money
No.
that
right.
is not,
No. No,
gonna work.
no, definitely not, no. So,
It seems clear to me that you are, in fact, willing to work with the staff and with us in the future, whatever might be required
right,
in order to address these concerns as well as the concerns from the consultant. And I suppose then that what you would like to see is the whole case come back with everything in place.
I would. What about y'all?
well, I agree, because that'd be more efficient of everybody's time.
Rather than have to
Right.
keep coming back.
Right, we don't want to mill-piece this to where we have to, yeah. I mean, we need to approve all of it at one time.
At once, so you can
That's-
proceed.
Right, right.
And thank you for being cooperative and amenable. And you and Ms. Dow, both of you would be comfortable with not accepting piecemeal, but rather proceeding with it being tabled?
I agree,
Thank you.
I agree. So,
Do I have a motion?
A motion to table 325 West Main.
I second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, so
so
you.
Thank you.
when can I bring this back?
we have a meeting in 2 more weeks,
Okay,
and so, you will need to get that to us before then, but as soon as you, take it back, look at it, have new window types,
Okay.
based on
on this right here.
that right
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
you should be good,
And
good to bring it back.
the awning,
Y'all are okay with the awning?
If we're going to consider the entire case,
That's what
then
we just
it
did.
would seem to me that the awning would be tabled along
Right,
with it.
Right, but,
But, oh, you mean just,
Yeah,
do we approve
just-
as it
yeah.
looks?
right,
okay.
like if they need
Okay,
to make
good.
changes to the awning.
I'm sorry, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, because I want to make sure those changes are made in 2 weeks before I come back, so.
If necessary.
Right, if necessary, so
So-
that awning,
Awning looks good.
I'm good with the awning. Y'all good with the awning?
I mean, I don't want you to approve it, I just want to know where I can start. Yeah, I mean.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right, right.
So, in other words, the question is, do we want you to come back with a potential new awning?
Mhm.
No.
Okay,
But we still will table.
okay,
And of
Yeah.
course, Ms. Dow will be happy to work with you and with the recommendations of the consultants to arrive at something that's acceptable to you, acceptable to the district, to the Rosin report, and to Main Street. And then I would say as a package, it would come back to us then, and if you're ready in 2 weeks,
I'll make sure we are.
okay, thank you.
You'll be seeing me again.
Oh, and color samples, exactly, yes.
Color samples. All right, yeah, which is in here, yeah. All right.
And in the best of all possible worlds, we actually have color samples painted onto something. And that is all, and in fact, it's stipulated that that's what we're gonna see. Unfortunately, we don't often have someone who brings us something where we can actually see the paint. And that is really beneficial because, as you know, paint chips don't
Yeah.
really say much. If it's a color that's approved or colors that are approved by Ms. Dow, I'm okay with that. But once again, we specify that we want to see them painted onto something. So that might just be a part of the package that you present next time.
Up here,
Yes, ma'am.
visually, okay.
Yes.
Something
Yeah.
as simple as when you buy the samples and the wood stick and you just stir that up. and
Okay.
Let it dry and bring that.
Okay.
We're not going to ask you to take a brick off.
No, no.
Although we
No,
might.
No.
Or find
No.
a brick.
No.
No, and you're amenable to that.
Okay,
Yes?
okay. Yes, I am.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And did
Thank
you state your address? Because I don't think, they ask that everybody that speaks state their name and address.
That's fine. My name is Patty Graham, Patty with an I. My address is 351 Lakeview Drive, Denison, Texas. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. I'll be in contact with you.
Okay.
Because, if I'm going to be up here, I need to understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a really nice day.
You too, thanks.
And you've had a fairly nice tour. Thank you, thank you.
So on the next one, oh, do you read something before I start?
Do you want me to?
Here, we'll just go on.
You can
In the
introduce
interest of
it.
time.
You can introduce the case in case I call it a wrong street.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I defer.
Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action to review and revise approval for signage at 120 South Burnett, Suite 106. And what happened with this, you approved a 4x4 sign. When they went to the permit techs upstairs, they had a 5x5 sign that they were getting approval for. And I didn't feel comfortable with you having acted on it to make a variance. And so it's the same sign, just larger.
Is it to scale in that photograph where it's superimposed?
I don't think it is.
I don't,
That's not 5 feet.
it
That's
doesn't
the
look like 5
same,
feet to me.
same one we saw
Saw
earlier.
before.
So the issue then is that they've already made this 5x5 sign, or they're just wanting to know if?
No, I think they've made it. A 5x5 sign on that storefront. Do you know if it is okay or what factors would determine if it's okay?
I just know if they're gonna hang it, it needs to be 8 foot from the sidewalk to the bottom of
To
the
the
sign,
bottom of the sign.
exact bottom, so.
I think, looking at it, that it would meet the requirements. But I can tell you that they will look at that upstairs. If, they will make sure it meets their requirements. But it didn't, the first step is that we've approved it.
Absolutely.
And the parameters were different than the ones they presented.
Exactly, so we're looking at
Right.
a different sign. And it seems to me that the size of the sign,
It's gonna be this big.
huh?
It's gonna be, that's
It's gonna be very big. And it seems to me that the size of the sign is in fact our responsibility. And if,
I don't
Is
think so,
No.
unless it's
well, we're
out of
talking about the
whack.
aesthetics and the integrity of the district.
Right,
We also are talking about the relative size of a sign to a
Correct,
building. And
correct.
we have specific recommendations and ordinances that relate to size of signs to buildings.
right.
We approved a 4x4. I cannot believe that that's a scale rendering of what a 5x5 sign is going to look like.
And I think that it's the same scale that we saw before. I think it's for
That
4x4.
picture is the same-
It's the same picture.
It's the same
Yeah.
picture.
So the 5x5 was changed, so it's not to scale.
So if we approved a 4x4, whose responsibility is it that they went and did a 5x5? I
Well,
mean,
it would be the property owners, or the tenant.
To my mind, it's pretty significant if we approve something based upon the aesthetics of the district. And then when it takes the next step, what happens is not what happened here. And I have an issue with that. And it's not just whether it's 5 feet or 4 feet. I think 5 is too big. But there's another issue, which is, in theory, certificate of appropriateness that leaves here then goes to the next step of approval. But the first step is here, and that's not what we approved.
Correct.
And that's a really big sign. And, you know, maybe I'd feel more comfortable if I saw a rendering that showed us how big that sign was going to be on the building. But based upon architecture, that rendering is not 5 feet. That's not, oh, Tony's showing us 5 feet. Thank you, Tony.
That's a big sign.
That's a big sign.
That's 6 feet right there, so.
That's 6 feet, so.
It's gonna be something like that on 6'3", so.
If those are 32-inch doors, that's 6 foot across.
So the other option, Madam Chair, would be to make the recommendation that it's approved, but it's approved at the standards, not this particular rendition, that's at 4x4. So basically, we have two choices, is the way I see it. To table it and get clarification, and I support either way.
Mine is just a fundamental sort of philosophical issue, and that is the, if you will, the designation of power. But it sets a precedent of our approving something, and then in fact, at the next step, something else happens, and we are placed in a situation of basically approving something that we didn't approve. And once again, I defer to my peers about how to proceed with that, but it's a really big sign.
It's a big sign. I would go back with a what if. What if she had brought the 5x5 to us, would we have approved that? And probably not.
So there's no one here that represents, correct? So I'd like to make a motion that we table 120 South Burnett Avenue signage and get clarification on size and appropriateness to the building.
Have it drawn to scale.
That would help.
I need a second.
A second.
Call the question. All in favor of tabling this case?
Aye.
Next.
Receive report, hold the discussion, and take action on removing current storefront and reverting to the original and historic storefront design, addition of an awning, and replacing of the windows at 501 West Main.
Okay, the applicant would like to rebuild the storefront, add an awning, and replace windows. They propose to keep the same color on the transom area. That's a historic photograph of the 501 West Main on the left, and current photograph on the right. So they would keep the blue trim on the transom area. They would tear out the storefront awning, storefront. This is a drawing of what it would look like. There's windows on the second floor, all up there, and they would, I want to say replace them, but I want to look at this and make sure that that's correct. The windows will be replaced, caulked, and sealed. And then that's, shows the storefront that they propose. It's got 2 doors on the lower left side. And then that's the type of windows that they are proposing. So again, I'll refer to the Rosin report. The storefront windows, the proposed design looks good. Glass should be clear, low E. The storefront doors, she recommends that they use doors without a divided or simulated divided lights. The doors with a 3/4 view and a lower panel, like the door in the illustration on page 8 of our design guidelines. And I don't know if that's in this. On page 8 of the design guidelines is just a drawing with all the parts of the building, and then it's got doors that maybe from that level down have a clear, not a clear panel, not glass, and that's what they're proposing. We don't have a copy of that drawing, do we? It should have been in your packet that you received at home. I know 2 buildings referred to it.
So what we're looking at is not proposing that the Egyptian blue be repainted, but that rather the Egyptian blue would remain.
That's what they requested.
They're going to be doing a lot of painting. Maybe we ought, I'm not kidding, maybe we revisit the Egyptian blue. As you
Right.
know, there's been lots of controversy around that color, and here seems an opportune time, since they're going to be doing a lot of painting, to correct something that had been egregious to some people.
Right, I think that we could request an alternate color. I don't think they would have a problem
How
with
do y'all
that.
feel about that?
I like the idea.
You like,
I agree.
okay. I
With-
mean, it
If
just,
we can do something with,
the Egyptian blue?
if we can, yes. Consider that, that'd be great.
And there remains, though, the Rosin report, to which we would ask there be some response that's appropriate to you and will thus be
Right.
appropriate to us.
So on the windows, they've shown the appropriate windows in these drawings, but when you get to the picture, that's not the appropriate windows. And it's hard to tell what their intent is. I'm guessing that it's this, not the drawings, but I think we should specify that it matches the drawings.
Correct, and clearly, I don't think that this group would approve those single pane glass windows. I mean, I don't think that would happen, so clearly that's something where we would want you to negotiate with the Rosen report about windows that might be more appropriate, given that, I don't think we like those, do we?
And I think they spoke to that, didn't they? Like,
Same type of
the
windows
whatever when sash.
that are in the Chop House building, you know, the 34 Chop House, same type of single pane windows that are in the upper level and actually lower level of that,
I think
same
they
type of windows.
use that.
I defer to my peers.
Well, it looks like the 1/1 is recommended
Right.
for all of the windows, I think. Replacement windows should be double hung sash. The 1/1. Instead of, I think some of the windows are 6/1 and some are single. So I don't have a problem approving the windows as recommended.
With the 1/1.
With the sash, and maybe
Once again,
even
they
the
don't.
6/1, but the sash, I think, is necessary.
As opposed to a single.
Yes.
The Rosen report is questioning what the material's made out of. So do we have an answer for that?
So I think that should be wood.
They also have a question about the awning, and it's historic out there.
I did confirm that in 1932, there was an awning on it. So and being on that side of the street, that it is necessary
Correct.
almost to have an
Absolutely.
awning.
Absolutely. So once again, we're placed in a situation of whether we have, to my mind, a sort of piecemeal approval or certificate of appropriateness when in fact there's still issues to be resolved. Yeah?
I agree.
I agree.
Do I have a motion that reflects that?
I make a motion to table the items presented, where's the address? 501 West Main, to reflect the window recommendations, including the material, the construction material, that's going to be used, and with a request that the owner consider changing the blue paint color. And what else? Is that it?
Maybe as a suggestion, maybe what's the questions within the Rosen report to be answered?
Right.
I did find that picture, and that shows the door they were requesting.
Is that the original?
With the bulkhead?
Or that's the door that they were requesting? Okay,
Oh, right.
I got you.
Okay. And that,
Yeah, just
and that the design
It's on the
guidelines
packet.
reflecting the bulkhead
sure.
be considered for the doors and
Going
windows
through your motion.
on the front facade.
So Donna, do we have from Ms. Knott the motion that reflects what you need, what we need?
Is it,
Right.
yes, with instructions to me to go back to the applicant.
Correct.
Not yet.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Donna. Pages up in here. And once again, Donna, thank you for continuing to explore the appropriate path for us as far as an appropriate certificate of appropriateness. So,
Thank you very
thank you
much.
for helping us to be appropriate.
Item,
Variance of a, this is when we receive report, hold discussion, and take action on a variance for the signage at 101 East Main.
So, you know that we've gone back and forth on the Katy Depot. They've got some signage on it, on the Main Street side. They're requesting more, and 4-inch letter, you've got to
Oh.
recuse yourself.
Let the minutes reflect that Mr. Alexander recused himself.
Okay. So they've presented a case on Tacoma, Washington, and some more there that they've found similar lighting in larger cities on the depot. And so I'll not go over that, but they've shown there in the lower left how you can see that the depot, that corner of the depot, for a good distance, for at least 2 blocks away. And it is open on a lot of sides. So they proposed something like on the right with the Union Station. They would have Katy Depot in large letters. Our sign standards say that you don't have an internally lit sign. And I can tell you that it's questionable. I think if we got technical, you would probably say this is internally lit. The internally lit that was intended is for a plastic exterior and lights on the inside. This is formed letters with bulbs exposed. So I treated it as a variance, and it's just whether or not you feel that's appropriate signage for our downtown. And then they would need to go to the building department. Roger, do you know anything that would prevent that sign?
Where they want, are they gonna put it on the base of the building?
They would put it on top. And I did look in the sign standards, and it is okay to have one sign on top. So,
That's what I'm.
right,
Attaching to the top of it.
right, it would be on the corner. So if you stood on this corner and looked down, it's the corner you can see. It would be on the
Right.
southwest corner. Yeah.
Once again, it's kind of hard to determine. We don't have a rendering that shows us how big it would be in proportion to the building, right? Do we have a rendering like that?
No, he said he would like 4-foot letters. I think when you're standing that far away, it's not going to be very big.
4-foot letters. Yeah, they'd need to. So 4-foot letters given 4-foot letters, I'm trying to do math here, but math is tough. It's gonna make it be, 1, 2, 3, very large.
Yeah.
Pardon me? Right, tell it.
So if you're standing up close, it could be.
And it's a large building, I can see
Right.
that, absolutely, absolutely. And I know that basically what we're meant to be talking about is whether it is an internally lit sign. And I think it's safe to assume that, in fact, if it's light bulbs sticking out, then it's, but definitionally, it might not be internally lit. So for that portion of variance of the sign ordinance, I think it's just sort of being careful about how we interpret it.
Right.
I don't have an issue. I mean, and the light bulbs on the outside is period lighting. It was used frequently. So that's not an issue. And I suppose that in scale to the building, and so far, the work that's been done on the building has been done with integrity. It's been done with respect to the district, respect to us, and we know that aesthetically, it's looking better and better and better all the time. So, given that, I'm assuming that we wouldn't be looking at something that was going to be garishly big, like Las Vegas or something. I mean, I'm assuming that because so far things have been very carefully considered and executed down there, including the expense of replacing all those windows with wood. So,
My only concern is there is not an actual rendering when it's of a similar design.
Or of how it will
Yeah.
look, like a superimposed letters on
We,
in that section.
we could get that. I think he needs to know that it wouldn't be a waste of his time if he did present that. So I think
Right.
he would be willing to do that if you would be interested in it, considering it.
and then, Ms. Dow, as far as the variance from the sign ordinance, I don't think there's an issue here.
There is.
No.
And do you want us then to table it until we see what it looks like in scale to the building? Or given that we're okay that it's gonna have light bulbs sticking out,
And okay with the size?
okay,
The 4 foot?
oh, I thought you wanted to see it in proportion to the building, no?
Oh,
Yeah,
You do.
I
You would
would
like
like
to
to see it. I'm actually concerned 4 foot may not be big
Big
enough.
Right.
Well, we know where we can get a 5-foot one, don't we?
I was just, in the similar design, I'm looking at the lettering and I'm thinking of font and, what,
Yes.
like, is it gonna be exactly like what I'm seeing right here in this font of letters? And that's really all he's showing is
It's
that
not- they all look
particular,
the
so
same.
similar design.
Yeah, I think he would be comfortable coming back with a proposed design to scale.
Perfect. Yes, do you want us to approve a motion to,
I don't care.
Approve
I
the
think that's up
variance.
to y'all.
Yes, you care.
Well,
We have a quorum, it only takes 3 of us, right?
right?
The triumvirate. What sort of motion would you like to see?
I think we table it and have him come back and, with a rendering
A
of
scale.
what it's actually gonna look like on top of that building and the fonts that he wants to use.
Right, because Donna, what we're also seeing is basically signage that has light bulbs on it, but we don't know which one it might be. And this one, in fact, is not historically appropriate, those Helvetica letters. So,
Right.
as far as the sign variance, we're good.
okay.
But given that, we have a motion to table. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Receiver,
wait.
oh, Mr. Alexander can return. Thank you, Donna. I think that also brings to the fore the whole question of what's an internally or external, or internally lit sign, and whether or not that requires a variance even. Receive report, hold a discussion, and take action on vinyl window signage at 111 South Fannin.
The The applicant would like to add vinyl window signage at 111 South Bannon, and it's got their logo. That's all the details there.
Well, you'll be
That's
able to
already
see it
there.
from far away.
And then it's- it's vinyl signage, right?
Well, you know what, you read my mind. I was just about to say that we did in fact have a case where we wondered about, one, the number of vinyl sides on a glass facade, and two, how it was gonna look when they were on there. And since it's vinyl signage, everyone agreed that it doesn't cost much money, and you could come back and say, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to make it smaller. But once again, that would assume that that was a compromise that that our prior case like that was a compromise that the owner was prepared to make. What's your read on that?
Well, you can't see through the window anyway. So if you could see through it, if it were a retail dress shop, I think it would be more important that you didn't have signs over your
Covering up
window
the clothes.
displays. So,
Keep it that's I know. I make a motion to approve the signage.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Donna.
I love that logo. No, it's a great logo.
Donna,
Yes.
staff updates.
so I wanted to bring this to you for your knowledge. Our design committee met on the Slush building, and you had referred it to them. They, in fact, determined that it was, let's see, building signage. They gave me some specific wordings, and I don't have them, but the art was in line with their business signage. And their, the 3 panels in the middle, in fact, relate to the drinks that they will serve. We couldn't tell that from this view, but the design committee zeroed in on it and enlarged it. And so it's just framed posters of their drinks, which would be advertising their product. And so they thought that it was good to refer it to them, but they didn't see any problem with it and felt like it was business signage. And so gave me the ability to approve them going on. And I visited with the chair, and that's what we decided to do.
And actually, if you remember, our question was whether those window panels constituted art or signage.
Right.
And I think this is a perfect indication of how different entities can work together to make those kind of decisions. And we
Right.
deferred it to the design committee to tell us what they thought, whether it was business signage or art. And thank you for working with them on that.
Yeah, they did appreciate being able to go through the thought process and everything. And I can tell you that the applicant has used one of our local artists that is pre-approved, and Jody Castelli will be doing the work.
Great.
Thank you. Do you want a motion that says we approve the revision, or it was just a question we needed to ask design committee? Okay, good.
put it on the agenda for.
Thank you, thank you.
Perfect.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I just got a question for y'all.
Oh, yes,
Appreciate
sir.
everything you do.
I didn't mean to adjourn. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
We take it
I'm
back.
sorry. We're adjourned. We're adjourned.
I thought we were gonna have this, no, we're adjourned.